One day, the farmer and his wife finished work and were about to sit and rest for a while in front of their simple house when suddenly a magnificent carriage with 4 horses pulled up and parked right in front of the house. A luxuriously dressed gentleman stepped down from the car. The farmer stood up, went to the luxurious guest and asked what he needed, or if he needed any help. That person shook the farmer and number 39's hand and said, "I Don and number 39. Need anything? I just want to have a meal with a rural flavor. Please cook me a potato dish like my grandparents usually cook. Then let me sit at the dining table and have a comfortable meal with my grandparents." The farmer smiled and said, "Looks like you are an earl or marquis, maybe even a duke. Noble people like you sometimes get excited like that. Okay, your wish will be granted." The farmer and number 39's wife went into the kitchen, washed the potatoes, then made steamed potato dough balls like the farmers usually eat. While the aunt was doing those things, the uncle said to the stranger, "In the meantime, please come with me to the garden to watch me garden." In the garden, the farmer has finished digging some holes. Now he plants trees in them. The stranger asked, "Don and number 39, you have any children?" "Why Don and number 39, you let me help you." The farmer replied, "No. I once had a son, but he ran away from home. He is a spoiled child. Even though he was smart and clever, he didn't and #39 study at all, only did mischievous things, and eventually left us. Until now I haven and number 39 heard any news from him." The farmer took out a seedling and put it in the planting hole, then inserted a support stake on the side, then leveled the soil, stomped it firmly, and used straw to tie the top, middle and bottom of the tree to the support stake. The stranger asked, "Please tell me, why Don and number 39 you force the tree over there to grow crooked and stunted, so that it grows straight?" The farmer smiled and replied, "Listen to what the gentleman said." It seems that the gentleman does not understand much about gardening. The tree there is old, its trunk has many knots. No one can straighten it anymore. If you want to bend a tree to grow straight, you have to bend it while it and number 39's still young. The stranger said, "That and number 39's the same as your son. If you had taught him when he was young, he wouldn't and #39 have left home. Now that he has grown up, how can he correct his stubbornness? Not sure yet. It and number 39's been gone for a long time. I and number 39 am afraid there have been changes." Uncle said. The stranger asked, "If it came in front of you now, would you recognize it?" It and number 39's hard to see his facial features, but he has a mole the size of a pea on his shoulder. As soon as he finished speaking, the stranger took off his shirt to show the farmer a mole the size of a pea on his shoulder. The farmer exclaimed, "Oh my God, he really is my son." He continued, "Who would have thought that he was my son? I am now a rich and wealthy person. How did you become like you are now?" The son replied, "Oh, father, if a young tree does not bend with the stake, it will grow crooked. Now it and number 39's old, so it can and number 39 grow straight anymore. How did you become rich?" "I have become a thief." "But Don and number 39 be afraid, father, I am the king of thieves. To me, locking the door means nothing. Whatever you like is yours. Father, Don and number 39 Think of me stealing like ordinary thieves. I only take from rich people. I never touch the wealth of the poor, I even give it to them. You get what you want without having to move, without having to think hard. Yes, my son, I am not happy about that. Thieves are still thieves. I tell you, that job ends with a beggar and number 39's bag and stick. The farmer brought his son to meet his mother. Looking at her son, she was so happy that she cried. When she heard her son say he was the king of thieves, 2 streams of tears flowed down the mother and number 39's face. The mother said, "Even if he is a thief, he is still my child. I still want to see my child again." The whole family sat at the table eating. The son ate a meager meal that he had not eaten in a long time. The father said, "If our boss, the count who lives in the castle over there, knew who you are and what you do. He won and number 39's hug you like he did at your naming ceremony. He will order someone to hang the child on the gallows." The son said, "Don and number 39's worry, father. He won and number 39's do that to you, because you and number 39's very knowledgeable in your profession. Today, I myself want to visit the count." When it was dusk, the king of thieves got into his carriage and went to the count and number 39's castle. The count received him as if he were a noble person. After hearing the stranger introduce himself, the count and number 39's face turned pale and he stood still without saying a word. Finally he said, "I am your godfather, so I must treat you with tolerance and generosity. You call yourself the king of thieves, I want to test your skills. If you fail, then you will be hanged. The crow and number 39's cry will be your wedding music." The king of thieves replied, "Dear Count, think about 3 difficult things as you want. If I can and number 39's do it, then just do as you say." The count thought for a moment and then said, "Okay, the first thing is that you have to steal my horse from the stable. The second thing is that when my husband and I sleep, you have to get the bed sheet without me knowing, and at the same time you have to get the wedding ring from my wife and number 39's finger. The third and final task is to kidnap the priest and my maid. You remember everything carefully, because this is a matter of losing your head like a joke." The king of thieves went to a nearby city. Here he bought clothes from an old farmer woman, then wore them. He painted his face dark brown and added wrinkles so that no one could recognize him anymore. Finally he put a lot of sleeping pills in a barrel of Hungarian wine. He placed the wine barrel on a shelf and carried it on his back. He walked slowly, staggering towards the count and number 39's castle. When he arrived, it was dark. He sat down on a rock in the castle courtyard and coughed like an old woman with chest pain and difficulty breathing, rubbing his hands together as if he were freezing. In front of the stable door were several soldiers sitting, lying around the fire. A soldier saw it and called out, "Dear old mother, come here and get warm. If you Don and number 39's have a place to stay for the night, then come here and find a temporary place to rest." The old woman walked over, asked the soldiers to take down the shelf and wine barrel from her back, then sat next to them to warm up. A soldier asked, "Old woman, what do you have in the box?" The old woman replied, "Some wine." She relied on selling alcohol to make a living. If you spoke kindly and paid for the money, she was ready to pour each of you a cup. "Pour again. A soldier said. After drinking a glass, he said, "The wine is so delicious, please have another glass." He took another drink. Seeing that, the other soldiers also drank along with him. A soldier called to a few soldiers in the stable, "Hey, guys, there and number 39. A lady selling good wine here. The wine is as old as the old lady and number 39's age. Come out and take a few sips to warm yourself up. It and number 39's even better than warming a fire." The old woman carried the barrel of wine into the stable. One soldier sits on the saddle, one holds his hand on the fence, another is holding the horse and number 39's tail. The soldiers drank each other until the wine barrel was empty. A moment later, the soldier holding onto the fence let go and fell asleep and snored. The soldier holding the ponytail also let go and lay down to sleep, snoring even louder. The soldier sat on the horse and number 39's saddle, his body bent down and stretched out to the horse and number 39's neck to sleep. This guy snores like a bellows in a smithy. The soldiers outside the stables had long since fallen asleep. They lay motionless, lying on the ground like rocks. The king of thieves, seeing that the opportunity was favorable, took a rope and placed it in the hand of the soldier who was holding the fence. He took a straw broom and placed it in the hand of the soldier who had previously held the horse and number 39's tail. But what to do with the soldier sitting on the saddle? The king of thieves didn't and #39 want to push him down, otherwise he might wake up and scream. The king of thieves quickly thought of a way. Untie the saddle straps. Use a few ropes to thread through the rings hanging on the wall. Tie the saddle firmly. Then pull both the saddle and the sleeping soldier into the air. Then wrap the rope around a pole a few times to make it sturdy. Then the king of thieves took off the chain, but when he led the horse on the paved road, the sound of the horse and number 39's hooves could be heard deep into the castle. So the king of thieves tied a rag to the horse and number 39's hooves, then carefully led the horse out of the castle and dashed away. The next morning, the king of thieves rode his horse to the castle, and at that moment the count had just woken up and was standing at the window looking out. The king of thieves turned to the window and said loudly, "Wishing you a good morning, Count. I and number 39 am riding a horse from that stable." He turned around to see that his soldiers were sleeping soundly. You will see how comfortably the guards live there. The count had to laugh it off and said, "This time you succeeded, but not the second time. I warn you in advance, if I catch you stealing, I will treat you like a thief." In the evening, when the countess went to bed, she clutched the hand with the wedding ring on the finger, and the count said, "All the doors are locked. I will stay awake waiting for the thief. Seeing him jump through the window, I shot him dead on the spot." Late at night, the king of thieves came to the gallows, cut off the hanging rope, and then carried the corpse of the prisoner and ran towards the castle. The king of thieves leaned the ladder against the wall of the count and number 39's bedroom window. Then the thief king carried the corpse on his shoulders and climbed the ladder to the window. The king of thieves let the dead man and number 39's head stick out the window. The count was still awake and pulled the trigger. The king of thieves dropped the corpse, and I also jumped down and hid in a corner. Under the moonlight, the king of thieves clearly saw the count go out the window, climb down the ladder and take the dead man to the garden, then dig a hole to bury him. The king of thieves thought, now is the right time. The king of thieves quickly got out of his hiding place, climbed the ladder to the window into the bedroom and impersonated the Count and number 39's voice and said, "Dear lady, the thief was shot dead, but I am his godfather. He is not cruel, but mischievous. I Don and number 39 want people to insult him, and I also sympathize with his parents. Before morning, I will bury it in the garden so that everyone will not know." She gave me a sheet to bury it, but could N and #39 bury it like a dog? The Countess handed over the bed sheet. The king of thieves continued, "You know my personality. I was generous, she gave me the ring. This unfortunate person who lost his life because of the ring deserved to be buried with the ring." The Countess did not dare to disobey her husband. Even though she did not like it, she still took off the ring and gave it to him. The king of thieves took those two things away. Before the Count finished burying the dead man, the thief king returned safely to his house. Don and number 39 the long-faced Count was stunned when the next morning the thief king brought the bedsheets and the Count and number 39's wedding ring. The Count told the thief king, "Do you have witchcraft? I personally dug the grave to bury you. So who dug you up and brought you back to life?" The king of thieves replied, "The person you buried is not me, but the death row prisoner hanging on the gallows." Then he told the Count the whole story. The Count admitted that he was a cunning thief. But the Count said, "But your work is not finished yet. There and number 39's a third thing. If you can and number 39 do it, this new thing Juan and number 39 help you escape death." The king of thieves did not answer, just smiled. Waiting late at night, the king of thieves carried a sack on his back, a bunch of candles under his arm, and a lamp in his hand as he walked towards the church. In the sack, all the crabs are crabs. Sitting in the church cemetery, the thief king took out the crab, placed a candle on its back, then lit the candle to light and let the crab crawl on the cemetery. Just like that, the king of thieves did it with all the crabs in the sack. Having done that, the king of thieves put on a black cloak like the priest and number 39's black cloak. Again, a gray beard was glued to his chin. Once his disguise was complete, the thief king carried with him the sack he used to carry crabs into the church and up to the pulpit. At that moment, the bell tower chimed 12:00 and number 39 clock. When the last bell rang, the king of thieves spoke loudly with a loud voice, "Listen here, you sinners. The end of the world has come. The day of final judgment is near. Listen! Listen! Whoever wants to go to heaven with me should get into this bag. I am Saint Petrus, the gatekeeper of heaven. You guys keep looking outside the church cemetery. The dead are walking carrying their remains. Get into your bag quickly, the end of the world has come." The voice echoed throughout the village. The priest and his assistant were right next to the church, so they heard it first and saw the flashing lights moving everywhere in the cemetery. They understood immediately that something unusual had happened. They went to church and listened to the teachings. The maid nudged the priest and said, "Why did we miss the opportunity? Let and number 39's ease our way to heaven before the final judgment day comes." The priest replied, "Yes, I also think so. If you like it, let and number 39's go together." The maid said, "Yes." "Sir, please go first, I will follow." The priest went first and went to the pulpit. The king of thieves has already opened the mouth of his sack. The priest went into the bag first, followed by the maid. The king of thieves immediately tied the bag tightly, grabbed the bag and number 39's mouth and pulled it from the podium to the ground. The two idiots and number 39's heads collided repeatedly with the steps. The king of thieves said, "Now going through the mountains." The thief king dragged his sack through the village. While pulling through the puddle, the king of thieves said, "Now we are going through an area with clouds and rain." As he dragged the bag up the steps of the castle, the king of thieves said loudly, "Now climbing the stairs to heaven." We and number 39's almost at the front yard of paradise. When he reached the rooftop of the castle, the king of thieves pushed the bag into the pigeon breeding area, causing the pigeons to flap their wings and fly away. The king of thieves said, "Have you heard the flapping of the angels and number 39's wings?" The king of thieves bolted the pigeon breeding area and then left. The next morning, the king of thieves came to the count and said that he had done the third thing, that he had kidnapped the priest and the maid. The count asked, "So where did you put them?" "They are lying in a sack in the pigeon farm." They thought they were in heaven. The count himself went up to see it, and saw it with his own eyes, so he believed that the king of thieves was right. When he took off the sack and released the priest and his servant, the count said, "You are truly the king of thieves. You finished the job. I won and number 39's touch you this time, but you must leave this country. If you ever come back here, you and number 39's have to go to the gallows." The king of thieves said goodbye to his parents and left for faraway lands. No one heard anything about him. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.